Yes. Okay. Very interesting. I think maybe this not directly address that question, but I think it's related because I'm not sure how many knows about this. That I think just when the happiness thing started, 2011.
Yeah.
Just recently, you heard about the happiest countries in the world things, or this year, which country is the happiest one? It just recently, but the original concept started 50 years back when King of Bhutan talked about gross national happiness, that we should not use GDP only to measure the progress of the nation. Right? You can imagine United States has the biggest GDP on earth. But are you satisfied with everything? No, right? Some part is good, some part, the gap, when the total number is big, it doesn't mean that it have equal things for everyone. It doesn't need to be equal, but at least have enough for everyone, and there a lot of access. I think I read now many articles talk about we have people die of hunger in a time that is plenty. But there's a people die of they don't have anything to eat. How dramatic this world, and what we're going to do about it. So the concept start, and then it start to be, because what I'm interested is how we make things personal into global scale. And especially Professor Sachs, when we can talk more after this about the policy, he's always advise government advice into policy. When policy, it touch everyone. And that's what we want to see, right? Not just one by one. One is too slow. Especially now it's counting down, climate change, everything like that. It needs to be fast. It needs to be powerful. But there's a movement now to use happiness and well-being to be the main measurement. And this report that next March going to have the report that which country is a happier one. And they have an exact indicator. Equality is one, empowerment of the woman, all those things that you want is in the list. And now there has a shift. Because when it's announced, many rich country doesn't get a good spot. Right? And at the top level, that it not look nice. And the people, especially the people, one is in public, then people is the real voice. He said, no, we don't want it this way. Before coming here, I asked my master that many people know that what needs to be done, but there are some big guys upstairs who controlling something. I asked my master that, how are we going to do about it? And then, he point out to what? He point out to social media, which is surprise to me. He said, we need to use the same tool that make materialism spread so quick. Now it's like you just click it, that craving thing even faster, right? He said we need to use the same thing, but for good. He just point out that if we can use technology and anything that's available right now, but tune it to the virtue, tune it to nice thing, then it can accelerate this thing. Many things is just neutral. It's how we use it, but I think the concept that it starts because when it's have money concentrated, everything go toward more money, economic, right? Maximize. But if the goal is happiness, the goal is peace for all, and it need to be louder than this, right? I hope that finally it's not GDP, that people are excited about it, but GNH, gross national happiness. That are now people are happy about it, and we use social media, and we need more influencer. Until the people at the top that, no, we need to go this way. not just the money thing. So if we can kind of gear toward the virtue thing, but make it interesting, make it exciting, compelling, and more people engage, maybe we can walk on the middle path more.
I can just tell you one episode about this journey. Are we going to 2:30?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted
You want me to go to?
signal that if we want to allow for a couple of questions,
Yes.
then we need to make that transition in a moment. So
Good.
just carry on.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell an anecdote about this. The fourth king of Bhutan made a remarkable statement in 1971 about gross national happiness. And by the way, Robert Kennedy, you should look up online a speech that he gave about GDP in 1968, famous speech, where he said GDP measures everything except that which is important to us. And it was a very beautiful speech in his presidential campaign, absolutely gorgeous. Well, the fourth king of Bhutan made this speech, and Bhutan began to actually explore operationalizing this concept by measurement and by real work of analysis of what would make our people happy. And in that context, a wonderful prime minister of Bhutan, the prime minister before the current one, Thigmi Tinley, gave a speech that I heard in New Delhi in 2010, I think was. And I was mesmerized by it because he was talking about these issues. And we decided that we would have a conference in Thimphu the next year about happiness and bring in worldwide scholars. And in the context of that, the Prime Minister came back to the UN that fall and gave the speech, I would say, to the General Assembly, which is every September when the heads of state come and the traffic is jammed up here. And it's a very odd event in some ways because everything is translation anyway. People speak and there's usually a little applause and then they go, but no applause during speeches. But when the Prime Minister of Bhutan gave his speech, he said in the middle of his speech that he recommended, we had Millennium Development Goals, then 8 global goals. He said, I would like to propose that happiness should be the 9th Millennium Development Goal. And there was spontaneous applause in the General Assembly of the world leaders. And you just felt, wow, this is a world starved of happiness because it resonated incredibly. And on the basis of that, we worked together to make a resolution which the government of Bhutan put forward to have a World Happiness Day and to study the issues of happiness in the world.
Yes.
And now every March 20 is World Happiness Day. And we use that as an occasion to present research each year on happiness, which psychologists and Buddhist monks and scholars have a lot to say about. And so you can read online World Happiness Day, you can read the World Happiness Report. You can find it online. It's very interesting. And it does discuss which countries are self-reported happiest. They are the Scandinavian countries, incidentally. Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Nordic countries, Finland. They score the highest, and they live a kind of social life of moderation, which is what they call social democracy. And I think that it really has some enormously beneficial effects. The United States has been going down and down in the rankings over the last 10 years. I'm one of the editors of this report, so I watch each year. I'm waiting for the new data just to arrive from Gallup International, which does the surveying each year. But the U.S. is definitely going down, and it is not, it's not different from the phenomenon that we're seeing of rising suicide rates, rising opioid epidemics, rising obesity, which is creating a lot of unhappiness in the society, rising depressive disorders in American society. So there's something not working well. And when you but what do we see in our headlines every day? What will the growth rate be next quarter? Do you know, last week it was revealed that for the third year in a row, life expectancy dropped in the United States. We're the only high-income country with falling life expectancy. 3 years in a row now, it's gone down a tenth of a year each year since 2014. In other countries, it continues an upward rate. We have a sickness in society, and this is evident in many different counts. But one of the ways you can see it is when people report whether they're happy or not happy. We're learning something about this. So this is first order important, but instead of reading about that or the suffering or the solutions, we're asking the same questions we've been asking for the last 70 years, which is, will GDP growth be 3.2% next quarter, 2.7%, 3.4%? And the answer is, it doesn't matter for our well-being, actually. It's not the right measure. It gives some indications of certain things, but it is absolutely not a measure of well-being. And that is, I think, one of the most pertinent points. So we have a few minutes, and who would like to make a comment or make an observation?
I'm here to moderate the Q&A, and we won't keep you too long, but I just wanted to say thank you all so much, and we'll do that at the end, but we'll just have time for a couple of questions. So we've got microphones here and there, maybe start back there, and then right here. Okay.
If you were going to write an equation, as most economists do, for happiness, what would the 3 or 4 major variables be, and what would 4 or 5 of the minor variables be?
My textbook's coming out soon. But it would be, first, happiness is cultivated. It's not something that just is. And it's cultivated by each person, and it's cultivated by society. So we shouldn't aim for thinking we're rich, we're happy, or let's get rich, but rather how to cultivate happiness. Since I'm an Aristotelian, I would say you cultivate happiness by cultivating virtue. And cultivating virtue means helping people to live a good life that is a life that takes this wisdom and helps people to find a good path. And I don't think we have that adequately in our vision or our society right now. Aristotle made a big point, and I think the Venerable Monk made the same point just now, that friendship is part of virtue as well. Aristotle in the Nicomachean Ethics talks about social relations and good friends as being actually a virtue, meaning you work on good friendship. It's not just a transactional matter. And this is something where we have our social bonds in this country are really in a bad way. So one doesn't achieve happiness only through an individual route, but also through a societal level. And I think the proverbial truth, which I very much believe, that happiness comes more through giving than receiving, is also extremely important. If we had a society where generosity was cultivated and recognized for what it can do, it would, I think, raise our well-being as givers and receivers, but definitely reduce a huge amount of the anxiety level. Our country, well, we're represented by we're not represented. We have a president who, in the Greek term, has akrasia. Akrasia means incontinence, not in the physical sense of incontinence, in the psychological sense. No self-control, completely impulsive, absolutely unhealthy in his mind, deeply psychopathic in my opinion. And this is leading to great risks and great unhappiness in society as well. It's no accident we have an epidemic of shootings and hate all over the country also, because we have a hater at the top that commands a lot of the attention also. And so we need also to understand that this is part of cultivating happiness, and we should not have good character makes a big difference, and good character in a president may be life and death.
Hi, thank you so much for both of your perspectives. I'm always very interested in practical steps. First, as an individual, I'm curious, what are the, I guess I'm thinking about it in terms of the steps between one's individual actions, and Venerable, if you could explain what those recommended individual actions are, could connect to broader systemic social change, which is what I'm seeing with the macro level view. But I'm curious, those very specific steps and how you think that could spread outward towards the various levels of influence outward.
Okay. When I was in the Philippines, I'm a Buddhist monk, but I work in Catholic country with a bishop. And that's the big event that really reflective on this individual to the society, to we have like we call light of peace event. Like this, we have we meditate and we light up the light. It the size around 4 football stadium, 100,000. It's so large, and that 3 ministers of the Philippines come, with the bishop, with the imam, the big event, and the whole field, it become Guinness World Record because we make some image, the map of the whole Philippines and world peace through inner peace. Yeah, it's done in 15 minutes. It's super fast. You know what they do? They light up their own candle. They pass on to the next one. That's it. But everyone do it. Move. The whole field is light up and it becomes the largest image in the world. Instantly, just light up your candle, pass to the next one. But everyone do it, including the minister on the stage. You get the idea? Okay, that I think that very, reflective, right? That the big thing is small. And we have social media. We have things that we can connect instantly around. We have this technology that can do this. Yeah. But the thing is, we're in a society and we're going to light a candle or we will not light a candle. What kind of candle you're going to light up? We're discussing, we not light a candle. Especially, you light your candle first, not mine. You get the idea, right? So this is the noisy world we are having. That's why we need some quiet time and let each individual connect with their good step and have something quite practical. Actually, I think next September, I talked with the Arekando yesterday, we will start the research. on this we call inner peace education. I'm so proud to announce that now one school in Los Angeles start a subject called inner peace subject. In school, grade 5 until grade 12, one private school so they can design. We want this for our children to be more calm. So we teach that 4 things which will define happiness. Body, heart, mind, and spirit. We can use some other term, but that's so part that Aristotle touched it. So this is the base of happiness. This is who we are. Body is a hardware, but that's a software part that we don't know so well. The body, the heart, the mind, spirit. So this covers most of the things that will make us happy or not happy. We make it like this. We have a step that root from what Buddha teach about healthy body. Yeah, Ayurvedic, those things. Healthy body, you have great health, happiness is small. The second one, caring heart. How we cultivate caring heart. Some born with it, some are not, but it can be trained through experience, through example. So we have caring heart, great relationship, EQ. Now we link Eastern wisdom, Western science, PQ, physical quotient, EQ, emotional intelligence, caring heart, and then the intelligent mind, IQ. In this program, it focuses on genius also. That when you learn this subject, you become more intelligent. Neuroscience can prove it. When you meditate, things happen. And then the last one, the most challenging one, SQ, spiritual intelligence. It's still very new, but now we are digging to understand more because it's the base of everything. With PQ, EQ, IQ, and SQ, it becomes HQ, happiness quotient, your ability to be a happy person. Okay, now we develop this subject, and I'm so proud they learn mathematics in the morning, they learn inner peace in the afternoon. And it's so interesting with the experiment because I cannot be there all the time. I train 3 Americans to be instructor, inner peace instructor. So they teach this at school. They told me the first week in Los Angeles, the children come to the room. Okay, today, not much discussion, relax and say nothing. They freak out because they were stimulated to think all the time. And when they were asked not to think, like relax, don't worry too much. Some cannot stay. They need to, oh, sorry, I cannot do this. Mm-hmm. They go out. After about 1 month, I returned to the school, I checked. And then one young lady, maybe grade 7, she said in front of everyone, oh, Venerable, thank you so much for coming here. In the whole week, this is my favorite subject. Oh, really? Why? Other subject, I feel like it's outside. And I'm tired. But in this subject, I feel like I am with myself. I feel happy. And I feel I'm in control. I feel good about it. I want to learn more. It's already started. One school with inner peace subject. So we want with Colombia, if we can have more research, it can be everywhere that we teach how to be a happy person. Not physics, that can come later. Once you become a happy person, everything will work. Yeah, I have one formula to end this one. Happy people tend to make other people happy. Unhappy people tend to make other people unhappy. We want more happy people in the world.
Thank you. We have time for one more. Right here.
Hi, thank you so much. This is so inspiring. Given that the title of the talk was Wisdom and Sustainable Development, even though we didn't mention those words, wisdom, yes, but not sustainable development, I just wonder if you could comment a little bit on some of the things you talked about, specifically inequity, And it's widely known that this climate crisis has created this inequity. And I'm just wondering if the wisdom that you're talking about, given that this is a crisis that requires quick action, if there's wisdom, how each of you believe that we can move more quickly and apply these.
Maybe I'll say just a couple of words about that. Sustainable development means that we reorient our societies and our economies so that the prosperity that we have is inclusive, justly, fairly shared, and environmentally sustainable, which is certainly not the situation in the world today. We're very rich, but with huge inequalities. 2,208 billionaires with $10 trillion of net worth, and then millions of people dying of extreme poverty every year. It's weird, but that's the world, actually. And environmentally, we're at the end of a long period of neglect that has brought us to imminent global climate and biodiversity peril. So we have failed to act on the environmental crises for more than 30 years now. In 1992, 26 years ago, we signed several critical treaties and have not implemented them. And so the situation today is as dire as you saw with the fires in California, or the hurricane that claimed more than 3,000 lives in Puerto Rico, or droughts and floods and sea level rise all over the world. It's quite bad. I can tell you the most basic point you should understand is that these are solvable problems, and they would not cost that much to solve. Perhaps 3 or 4% of our annual production worldwide redirected towards these purposes with a conscious effort. So we're not bereft of solutions. We're not bereft of technology. We're not bereft of strategies. We are completely bereft of implementation. And you may or may not have noticed, because it's a non-event in a lot of ways, that there was a G20 meeting a few days ago in Buenos Aires. It accomplished precisely zero. So there was a tremendous amount of time, effort, money that went into it, and it means nothing. And part of the reason is, probably the main reason, is that the United States is completely adrift without any normal, a scintilla of normalcy, and a president who is unfortunately a very sick man psychologically. And this is really a terrible problem for the world and a big danger. And the arrest yesterday of an executive of a Chinese company in Vancouver Airport is part of a world getting out of control. I'm in the middle of a little op-ed on the U.S. as rogue nation. It's very dangerous what's happening. So we're not failing because of the lack of things to do. We are failing because we're not doing the things that we should be doing. And this concept of akrasia I like a lot. It means no self-control, no prudence, no judgment. And that's our danger. And I won't go on to belabor the point, but what we need to do is change course. And as an economist and as an academic, I'm trying, in my part, with my colleagues to point out, here are things we can do, very practical, very important, and so forth. But to paraphrase the Beatles song, and I don't have it exactly right, when you say you want a revolution, we should fix our minds instead. Is that the... Yes, okay. That's what we're talking about. We need to get our heads on straight to understand what to do. Getting our heads on straight will not end climate change, but it will say, oh, come over here with that map again. Let's look at that. You mean if you bring that solar energy here and you bring that wind power here, then we could close down the following coal mines? So getting our heads on straight doesn't end the crises, but it makes you look at the solutions. And that's what we're not doing right now. And you may have noticed in our country, we haven't solved one thing in 30 years that I can recall. We have crises like the opioid epidemic, like crumbling infrastructure, like widening income inequality, jobs crisis, student debt crisis, and so on. You could make a long list of things we talk about in every election cycle. Nothing is solved because we do not have our heads on straight. It's not a serious process in this country of actually directing our attention to reduce the suffering and solve the problems. It's all games. It's all who can win. Who are the killers? Who are the losers? There's no study. There's no planning. There's no thinking. And so this is really why, coming back to the psychological issues, the personal behavior issues, the self-control issues, the middle path issues, are not irrelevant, or the micro part, and then there's the macro part. We will not do the macro part unless we are focused that that's what we should do. For instance, save ourselves. That we have enough calm resolve to say, in a crisis, let us save ourselves. And that's why the head, the heart, the different kinds of knowledge are all interconnected now. And we're trying to find our way out of a kind of addiction, I think, at the global societal level. An addiction to what next quarter's GDP growth is going to be, or what is going to happen in the stock market the next moment, or who can do the following. And I remember, by the way, I'll just close with this. I had a realization this morning that I didn't have in the 46 years that I've been studying and teaching economics. The concept we learn, in addition to maximize your utility function, which is pretty bizarre when you start thinking about it, the other concept we learn is perfect competition. And I thought for the first time today, what a weird concept. Perfect competition. Competition is such a strange idea as an organizing principle for society to begin with, as your base principle, but we have perfect competition. Instead of perfect cooperation, perfect compassion, or something else. And I never realized how strange it was till I was taking a shower this morning. So this is back to the shower theory of well-being.
We do have to close, but Venerable, if you have a one word or two.
Yeah, can I have a say about that things? Because shower work, right? You know, it's simple, but I really encourage from each home up to government. You must have a quiet time to review what you are doing, to see if it make you feel nice on the last day when you say goodbye to the world. You know, we need that moment, really. Every day, on a daily basis. Like we shower the body, right? We have a meeting, we are so busy, we shower anyway. We need this shower of the mind thing to really slow down and see